Yo, it's your bro Opeline. Today we'll do yet another My Hero What If. This is What If Deku Was an Experiment, Part 2. This is what it... So basically, it's pretty much after the ball throw test. So we should be at the USJ, if I'm correct. Yeah, so we left off after the ball throw situation. Yeah, you would get first place in all of those, and, well, days later after that, after just some regular school stuff, they will be told about the USJ and how they're gonna be doing in about a day. So Deku would get ready to go for the USJ and get ready to do that rescue training, he would think, as he would pile up on the bus with the rest of the students, and they would eventually talk about quirks until they would get to USJ. So they would go there. Once they're in there, it would basically be lectured by 11, 13, yeah, 13, by 13 about how your quirks can be super powerful or some weird stuff like that, until the portal, yeah, it opens. People's like, okay, what is this? The portal would open and a bunch of villains would come out. Deku would have, well, actually, somebody else is actually watching them. But no, Deku ain't happy about this. Cause Deku has found out that he has a sensory quirk, and he can tell that there's more villains that should be here, but they're not. That means they're gonna be coming to ambush. Like, this means war at this point. So Deku is not too happy. Cause it's just not, he's not too happy. So Deku would basically, get into a fighting stance, as his sensory abilities would go off the fucking charts, as every one of his, classmates would get teleported to a different place in the USJ. As Deku would jump out the way, he would be wondering, damn, they all got teleported. As he would see Aizawa doing work, taking down low level villains. Aizawa at least got 50, as Deku was helping, and even a couple of students later on have gotten out of the situations that they're in. But people like Froppy and Mineta got out pretty quickly because Deku wasn't really needed. I mean, Mineta could basically just throw a sticky ball so they can get close together and they can be stuck. And Froppy can just throw Mineta out of there and basically cling to anything with her tongue. So yeah, they didn't really need Deku. I don't know why he was even there. Basically, multiple students like Bakugo, Kirishima, Todoroki, people like that would stand up and start trying to fight other villains. As Shigaraki would say he would have enough of this, and he would say he would have enough of this, as he would pretty much go straight after Deku. Their mission is to kill All Might and take Deku. So that's exactly what they try to do. After him trying to fight Bakugo, he would basically leave. He was like, I have enough of you, and kick Bakugo away, as he would basically go on to attack Deku. Shigaraki's actually going to be giving a different quirk. He's going to be given a quirk called Absolute Madness. It would work together with his disintegration quirk. If he disintegrates you, you would get absolute madness. Like you go crazy. And like you go crazy. It's like in Bird Box. If you've ever seen that movie, do you go crazy, then you just die. So that's what he's trying to touch Deku. He's trying to disintegrate him, or either just go for the because hey, if he ain't coming, he dead. That's what they're trying to do. So All Might is pretty much gonna come pretty soon, as he would see what this scramble that is going on. He would see Todoroki all fucked up. He would see Kirishima barely protecting Todoroki, Bakugo not even knowing what to do, getting beat down by a Kirigiri, because they all have new and different quirks. So they would never be ready, because like the first half they could stand against them because they're getting used to their actual quirks. But for the second half of the fight, they're using totally different quirks. And they're using it at the same time that they're using their actual first quirk that they were born with. So it's kind of like you can barely notice it, but you know that there's more power behind it. So obviously Bakugo was very mad that he's pretty much getting bodied and he doesn't even know what to do, as All Might would try to help with a smile on his face mid a fight against this Nomu. This Nomu, I'm just gonna say it, this Nomu is beating the fuck out of All Might. Like, All Might is getting, like, bodied. Like, if you ever seen anybody get bodied, it's All Might right now, times 4. Like, he's getting bodied. As All Might is getting swung around, hit to the ground, thrown. Like, they're really actually trying to kill All Might. They're actually being serious about this. As Deku would see this, he's like, bro, we have no chance. Like, we literally have no chance. As more students would have to step up, even though, because Aizawa, like, he might as well just be 2 minutes from death at this point. So, Ida would pick Aizawa up and speed back to UA so he can get some help from Recovery Girl, as he needs it. As, he would bring other students like Bakugo, Todoroki, and Kirishima, people who've been taking the most damage, and Deku's mad. Like, Deku, he has multiple powers, but nah, bro, they are on a higher level. Like, this League of Villains is not the League of Villains. Like, this League of Villains is at pretty much where we're at in the manga. Like how Shigaraki has All for One, but it's like they all have new quirks and they're all super powerful. It's almost like they've been like a time chamber, and they've been training for like 4,000 years. Like, that's the level of strength that they have. Deku is starting to get a little unhinged, He's starting to get really mad as he's fighting Shigaraki. He would use his chains, but, just like Faith Shazette basically said, they should be Gilgamesh, or however you're supposed to say it. But I'm just going to say it like that, Gilgamesh chains. So he would use those chains, and yeah, to try to basically wrap Shigaraki up. And it pretty much works pretty well, actually, because they're unbreakable. I'm making his chains unbreakable, so he's throwing around Shigaraki, he's slamming him, he's really mad. So he would slam Shigaraki or throw him into a wall, as he would basically speed over to All Might. Even though he doesn't know, with his new sensory abilities, he can, he knows stuff, man. He can see without seeing. And the reason why he's so mad, obviously, that His classmates are getting beat up. All Might getting beat up. He's losing this fight most of the time. That's already making him mad. But somebody's watching him. And All Might even can recognize the power. Most of the people in here who at least are awake, are alive and awake and haven't been beat the fuck up, they can at least realize that somebody is still here. As you know, this person would walk out the blue. They're invisible. They would basically walk out the blue. You know what this person is? It's All For One in his shifter quirk. Basically, you know how I said that All For One would have a shifter quirk, the shifting to an employee of the government to do experiments on Deku? Yeah, he's pretty much that guy. So he's like, damn. And no, Deku pretty much looks away from Shigaraki, looks away, and he's not paying attention to anybody else. It's like time itself stopped for Deku. Deku doesn't even care. He just runs at him with all fours and just lunges at All For One, even if he knows that he's gonna lose. All For One would go grab at Deku's arm. He was slamming on the ground. Deku would basically bounce from the ground, grab All For One's collar, and basically throw him away, as he knows that was power. That was more power than the Nomu had, and All Might is on his last feet. All Might doesn't even have One For All. He's already at the point where he would be fighting all For One. So All Might would basically go up to help Deku, smoking and bleeding out his booty hole. He's not doing too good. Deku and All Might. Deku, he don't even know how to feel anymore, because this is just a sucky day. How does some regular team training just become into this? As Deku and All Might would run at All For One, as All For One is teleporting. Well, not really teleporting, but he has permeation. So he would permeate right through the ground and grab All Might through the permeation, which All Might did not need. So now All Might can't breathe, can't see, doesn't know where he even is at this point. So he's pretty much keeping him in this permeation state. He just keep on pulling All For One out, as he would have some type of clone quirk, basically clone himself, and the clone is fighting Deku. Deku is wondering where he is, as the clone is using permeation and even running through Deku at some point in time. He would realize this because he is pretty smart, but this fight is taking forever. So Deku would do something that he never really done before. Maybe he done once, but he would start trying to use all of his powers at once. At first, he would use the chains, then fire, then the ice, then he would use his speed quirk, his speed and his strength quirk, which he basically been using, but his speed and strength quirk, and he would even use his enhancer quirk that's enhancing all of his other quirks. So he's using all of that, bro. He's using all of that. And Deku suddenly would get a lot faster. Deku in base is just fast, just pure speed. But he's a lot faster now. Yeah, so he would basically be super fast, actually. So he would be running straight at Deku. Well, Deku would run straight at him. And he would just get smacked the fucking away. At this point, All For One got that big ass arm, and yeah, All Might barely beat him. Like, let's be honest here, All Might barely beat him. So as he would see that he can't do this. Somebody running out. I'll say, yeah, Uraraka finna get clapped. Uraraka, she finna run out and try to help Deku, but nah, it ain't happening like that. Let's say he has a missile quirk and missiles top speed at Uraraka. Ain't nothing he can do about it. Deku being on his last knees, pretty much, he got slapped into a crater into the wall, and he ain't feeling too good. So he's pretty much on the ground, like with his hand out, like no, like how anime characters be like, and he ain't having a good time as Uraraka is pretty much trying to run from these missiles, and it's almost like the more she runs, the more closer it gets. And Deku, like, for some reason, the missiles just stopped and blew up right in the air. And Deku was like, okay, what? As his hand would be still out. Deku trying to connect the dots, he would realize some type of telekinesis. And he would try to use it on All For One, but it's not really telekinesis. It's manipulation on air. It would be some type of manipulation on air, and he would basically be like, huh, okay. So he would basically pull Uraraka towards him, and he would make a plan. No, Uraraka and Deku did not beat All For One. All For One, it's a warning thing. Now everyone's be like, oh, it's a warning. So they would make this plan, and this plan was that Deku and Uraraka would run at him, and actually no, he would use his air quirk to basically push Uraraka forward, like make her fly forward, and she would touch All For One. And this quirk is still being enhanced as he still has it activated, so it's pretty good. So it's pretty good. He's a mastermind, so he would instantly be able to use these quirks. So he would throw Uraraka right at him, and right at All For One, and All For One's like, how is he so fast? As he can't even use permeation at that point, because it wouldn't even, like, it would work. But after he got touched by Uraraka. So now he's floating, and he would get permeated out of the fucking UJ. And since Shigaraki is pretty much got his back broke, Gary, who even knows where that man is? He been dip. Like this man's left. Like he left. I had nothing to do with this, and he dipped. And now it's just All For One. All Might could be even dead at this point. So like the rest, like we don't even know what's going on with All Might over there. So as All For One would say, well, all my comrades, they pretty much left, but I'm coming for you. And Uraraka, no one else would really know but Uraraka. And yeah, just Uraraka would know that one guy is looking for him. And later on, like days later, after they get like a week off because of that, Deku's pretty much famous for taking care of everything. And Deku can barely get inside the school, so he would just use his air quirk to float him over. As as he's pretty much kind of late, Uraraka would see him and they would have a short little conversation. But Uraraka would be like, "Yeah, about how that one guy with all the powers, like you, why is he looking for you? Like, hey, how he got like 12 quirks? How you got 12 quirks? That, hey, this ain't adding up, Chief. Who is you?" So pretty much, Uraraka asking questions. Deku would explain not the experiment thing, but he would explain they ain't good friends, and it's just an enemy. I'll tell you the full story later, but that's not what we have to be doing at this point in time. So they would get into class and they would be told about the UA thing, and yeah, no, they'd be told about the sports festival, and Deku wants to train for it. He wants to train for the sports festival, so they get like a week off to train, and yeah, they get like a week off to train after a couple of days of school, and it would be some pretty intense training for Deku. Deku is trying out new things, like doing things that he would probably never do, like doing new things with his actual quirk and trying to find new quirks, and eventually he would get one. Yeah, so Deku would learn actually 2 quirks. I just made a better decision. One is going to be a really, really good healing quirk. Like, nothing could not be healed by it. So, it would pretty much be found how by when Deku is training and, he's doing some crazy shit. So, let's just say he got hurt badly, and this will come into mind before he actually got help. He would basically start thinking, what if I had like a healing quirk, and he would heal himself, and he would be pretty excited that he did this. And Deku basically has a sort of telekinesis with his air quirk, because everything is surrounded by air. So he has telekinesis over everything, basically. So Deku would basically be walking, and he would actually see what's a good place for him to be training, and he would basically go to Degama Beach, cause he would go to Degama Beach, and he would be like, he would be thinking about how he would actually be able to use all of his quirks, or multiple quirks, while not hurting anybody or not destroying stuff. So he would actually see All Might there, and he would see Small Might there, and I don't know if I gave him One for All. No, I don't think I did. Let me see. Yeah, I did give him One for All. So Deku would see All Might, and he would go say to All Might, motorcycle, but he would go say to All Might how, like, did you like totally like lose your quirk? And like All Might would say no, but I can really only use it for like 2 minutes. And Deku would have his jaw dropped, And it's like, well, what happened to 3 hours? And he would just shake his head as he would basically shed a couple of tears. Deku would have, have a good idea, so he would basically say that I'll say that he let All Might know about how he has the experiments done on himself, or the experiments have been done on him. But yeah, he let All Might know about that, and yeah, so he would know. So he would say to All Might that he has a healing quirk, and he will try to heal him. All Might would basically be happy for like a second, but he would like, it's no use, kid, as Deku would beg him to at least try. Deku would try it, and it would obviously heal him. All Might, as he's getting healed, he would slowly get into his full one for all state. As he's all buff All Might now, like he's actually All Might now, people start crowding him, and he's feeling amazing. Like he's in his prime. Like he's either in his prime or slightly better than it. So Deku would basically jump in happiness. So as he would say yes, as 2 lightning strikes would actually come from his hands. He would be like, Nani? As a lot of attention would be brought to Deku as Deku's looking at his hands, and he would say, okay. As he would start using his lightning quirk and sending lightning into the waves of the water, as this obviously can conduct electricity. So yeah, Deku would go back to UA as he and the rest of the students will get piled up on a bus to go to the actual stadium. With him, basically, he would basically go onto the podium because he got called up. He's a Class 1A representative. He's the strongest one in here. So he got called up, and he would say that, I hope you all try your best and go plus ultra in everything you have to do. And yeah, people would cheer for him because he wasn't saying anything self-centered or being rude in any type of way, shape, or form. He just said, try your best and go plus ultra. And people would cheer for him. So people in the crowds and would already like Deku because he's already kind of famous, and plus he is not arrogant, even though he has like multiple quirks, which Deku kind of doesn't actually like. Yeah, it's cool to have quirks, like have multiple quirks, but it's really not actually knowing what had to happen to him. But we don't gotta talk about that right now. Deku would go on to the race, which he can just permeate through the ground. So yeah. So he would just permeate through the ground and permeate and use the chains to make people permeate. So yeah, they would be all messed up. They'd be confused once they come to the ground. So yeah. So Deku would just be using his chains to bring people back, and he would go into the, what do you call it? He would go do the fucking thing, the chastity thing. Well, the team race. Forgot what it was called, but it doesn't matter. So Deku would go to do that. He would get Uraraka, Tokuyami, and Mei Hatume, even though they're all filler characters that we don't need. But no, he would obviously he wants them on the team, so yeah, we have to obey Deku's wishes. So yeah, they would do the same thing on that, but they just wouldn't get caught slipping. So they would still have the 1,000,000 points. Deku would go on to his match with Shinzo, and Deku would just permeate through the stadium and permeate like a inch away from Shinjo, and he would just grab his shoulder and push him out the ring. He would say, "Better luck next time." And Shinzo would be mad because he kind of got body with no warning. So yeah, he'd be crying. So other matches would happen. The matches that don't matter, Deku would go on to a match that actually does matter, like Bakugo and Uraraka's. She got bodied. So when Bakugo about to go for that final explosion, like one of his big ones, because I'll say that Uraraka got motivated to actually train like super hard because she see how strong Deku is and how multiple students in her class are all better than her. But hey, it is what it is. At least she Deku friend in the actual anime, so she matters. If she wasn't, everybody know that she wouldn't matter, but we all know she got bodied anyway. It will just take longer, and I guess you can say that she made that Bakugo use his best attack. So he would use like howitzer impact on her. Or yeah, he would do that. She'd be all messed up and hurt before anybody can even stop. Before Recovery Girl can heal her, Deku would pretty much permeate through the stadium and go heal her with her healing quirk, and yeah, he would just go pick her up and bring her to the nurse's office, because you would obviously still feel the pain of being burnt because it's hot, and yeah. So Deku would basically go on to fight Todoroki. He would see Todoroki would see him. As he's about to walk out, Todoroki would stop him. And Todoroki would say, "Are you that guy's son?" And Deku would be like, "Who? Like what guy's son?" As Uraraka be around the corner, she trying to know. So yeah, Deku would be like, "Nah, I'm not." He's talking about All For One. And yeah, he would explain that, "Nah, I'm not his son." And Todoroki wants a better answer than that. Like, how do you have like a whole bunch of quirks? And Deku would say, "It is what it is." As Todoroki and Deku would basically go in the stadium and they would all fight, or at least about to start the fight. Todoroki wanting to know how Deku has multiple quirks, and is he truly is that one guy, All For One son? And Deku wanting to know why he doesn't use his fire side, as Deku would just fucking clown Todoroki, starting off with fire and ice. He say, "Come on, Todoroki, we got the same quirk. How about you use it?" As every time Deku uses a quirk, and his enhancer quirk would start off like instantly, and it would always enhance his quirk. So he's forever getting stronger every time he's using his quirk. So yeah. So Deku would basically fly himself forward with his air quirk, with fire in his hand, and he would throw fire at Todoroki, as Todoroki would use ice, and it would instantly melt, like in seconds, like a millisecond. As soon as it touched the fire, it would melt. As Todoroki says, fire this hot, that's like endeavor. It's like, so he would basically have this quick little brawl with Todoroki with hand-to-hand combat. Todoroki would go for a kick to the side as Deku would block it, pretty much block it, duck, and take his leg, throw him on the ground as Todoroki would get up and use an ice pillar to try to hit Deku in the stomach or anywhere. Deku would just use his chains to grab Todoroki, or grabs Todoroki. Yeah, so Todoroki would basically be pulled toward or pulled closer to Deku, as Deku would use an ice spike from out his hand and basically slice at Todoroki. Todoroki would basically get out of the chain somehow. He would just try to get out of the chain, and they would basically just doing like pure ice fights. Like, it's like a sword and sword battle. Nah, it's ice and ice battle. So they're basically fighting pretty evenly, because Deku was really only using his ice and fire, and sometimes even the air. And Deku, knowing that Todoroki is about to pull off a big move, he would use his air quirk to control the air around Todoroki's right arm, so his ice attack would go away from Deku. Like, it would literally go straight past Deku. Deku just not move, and Todoroki's like, what's going on? As Deku's pretty much controlling his hand, and he's just like, it's over for you. As Todoroki would hear these words, and instantly he would fly out the ring. That's where I'm gonna leave this off, and yeah.